Hello and welcome back to another video. You join me here today as I've got a tree attached to my bag. Also, we're going to head up a fell known as Hartley Fell, or as better known locally as Nine Standards Rigg. Now, the reason for that is it's got 9 massive cairns on top of the fell, and each of those cairns has got an intriguing story behind why it's there. So we're going to go up there today, we're going to discover those cairns and go through how they were put there and why they're so big in the first place. Let's get on with it. Intro, and I'm fully aware now would be, the best time to start walking up the fell. But this waterfall, hopefully you can see how it's coming down this sort of fault in the rockwork all the way down. That is genuinely just staggering. What a find! What a find this early on in the adventure. It's also incredibly loud, which is why I'm having to shout. Right, maybe we should start walking up, the fell that I meant to now. Oh, brilliant. Oh, I can't wait to get out of this bloody woodland. I mean, look at the ground underfoot. It's so ridiculously slippy. And it's like this all the way through here. Fallen trees along the way, the lot. Be glad to get out of it. This ground at the moment is really wet. It's warmed up the last couple of days, and as much as that's nice because I can wander around in a t-shirt, it's not brilliant for the terrain because all the snow that has been on the ground for the last few days and the ice has all now melted into the ground, and it's just making it really slippy. The rest of this route takes place on a bridleway, and I know for a fact that will be a million times better than this. The problem is I've just got to get across the low-lying farmers' fields, unless I could teleport there, couldn't I? Cut all this out, cut out a mile of the walk and just teleport. It's worth giving it a go. You ready? 3, 2, 1. Oh, there we go. On to the bridleway. I tell you what, that was easier than traipsing half an hour through really muddy farmers' fields. I wouldn't have wanted to do that, let's put it that way. There's lots of theories behind how old Nine Standards Rigg actually is, and actually the different cairns. Now, they have been obviously rebuilt over the years. When they're 3-4 metres tall, being battered by the weather constantly, they are going to fall over every now and then. And I think the last rebuild of them was in 2005 and 2015 as well. So, the reality is they're not as old as they are, but it's more how long the cairns have actually stood in that position. Now, some of the oldest records go back to nearly Roman times. During the 6th century, the Welsh did a little recce of the area and actually described something very similar to Nine Standards Rigg, almost a saw-toothed mountain. Now, that is one of the really early records, and it's thought from that potentially when the Romans retreated from Hadrian's Wall back to the Pennines and the Howgills, they put the cairns up there to make the Scottish think that there was always sort of an English army stood on the hill waiting for them, and obviously, to basically deter them from invading. They could be 800, 1,000 years old if those Welsh documents are true. But the reality is, no one really knows. And that's the mystery behind them. And will anyone ever know? Maybe. But the problem is with things that are rebuilt over the years, and move in different shapes and forms, it's always very tricky to actually, put a date on them. So I'm not sure I'm going to achieve that today, but it will be nice to go up, see them, and perhaps think about why they'd have been built. Being up here in the Pennines really does give you a great sense of true wilderness. It's really barren out here, and I think one of the best things is not that many people really walk in the Northern Pennines either. it's such a distraction, the Lake District, that everyone drives up the M6, goes, we'll turn left, go to the Lake District, and they leave the Northern Pennines alone, an area of outstanding natural beauty, as you can see from the scenes over there, and behind me, and everywhere you look. That's it now, we've come onto the main footpath that leads us up to Standards Rigg, and you might have seen on that sign there that actually this is part of the coast to coast route. Kirkby Stephen itself is a town you pass through on the coast to coast, and it's quite famous for that. In fact, there's a chip shop there called the Coast to Coast, and it's brilliant, and it's where I'll be going for my lunch after this. The thing is, with the coast to coast, with it being as popular as it is, and this being quite a fragile landscape, it means there's a couple of different routes you can actually take across this section. Now, the one that in theory you should take this time of year if you were doing the coast to coast doesn't include Standards Rigg, and that's obviously because with it being so wet this time of year, with multiple people walking over it all the time, it really does take its toll on the landscape and erode a lot of this peat and protected moorland. But anyway, we're going to take one of the summer routes simply because they go up to where we're after, and obviously we're not on the coast to coast either, so I haven't really got to worry about that. But what I have got to worry about is the snow which has come back. It's all been quite melted most of the way up, but it's starting to come back in some quite large drifts. Oh, I should make for a fun 20 minutes up to the top. One of the things that's always mentioned about this walk when I was looking around at different sort of bits of information on it is that off the top there's some absolutely panoramic views across the Eden Valley, some of the best in the Pennines. So it's really handy that we've now walked into the cloud for the last 50 metres of incline. That's always the way. I've had some good views on the way up, but I'm definitely not going to see anything at the top of this, that's for sure. Walking up here on a day like today, when it is so bleak, walking through the cloud covering, it's hard not to think about the Romans and when they retreated to the Pennines, the Howgills, for protection. It was the end of the Roman Empire. They'd lost Hadrian's Wall to the Scots, and they came back down here for that sort of natural barrier. You know, if they could make bases and camps up here, it was going to be incredibly difficult for the Scottish to actually come up and attack them. But you've got to imagine it's the end of the Roman Empire. They've, you know, fought for years and years and years and years and years, and their last sort of resort is to climb up things like this with all that heavy gear and protect themselves. There you go, you've just seen them in shot. Here they are. 9 cairns, all in a row, ranging in sizes and shape. Look at that. I I can only imagine what the view is like into the Eden Valley from here, because it really starts to drop off, as you can see. I bet the view of that valley is just extraordinary. But anyway, what we're going to do is go through the 9 different cairns and the sizes and shapes of them. So we've got number 1, which is, I think these are actually the most recently sort of newly built. So I think these ones are 2015, making it 6 years old, and you can see that. I mean, they're really not very old at all, and they're standing pretty solid. So we've got a nice square one there. Then we move along. This is another one that was built relatively recently, just a few years ago. Bit of a bell shape. Number 3 coming up, again, sort of a bell shape, got a nice seating area around it. I'm sure makes for a brilliant picnic spot during the summer. Then we've got a cone. These are absolutely brilliant, and especially just out here in the mist as well on a day like today. There's barely any wind either, which kind of makes it. Ah, we've got another one. This is another cone, but it's got sort of 2 seating areas built in specifically for picnics. I imagine that's number 4. Then we've got number 5. These are all sort of small cone-shaped ones. The bigger ones are at the front. And these ones are actually a bit older as well. Number 7, number 8, and I think this one's number 9. Oh no. That is kind of a very pathetic pile of stones, isn't it really, for number 9? There's some brilliant cairns there, and then that's what they could manage for number 9. Oh, yeah, absolutely incredible. The weather's properly started to turn now. I'm quite high up here, about 663 meters. So as you can imagine, weather moves in quite quickly. Turns out I counted wrong with those cairns. That small one's number 10, someone's just built that there. I went back along with the drone, counting them through, and realised, no, there is 9 massive ones. I just can't count while walking along holding a camera, it turns out. What we're doing is just heading up to the trig point here, and we've actually summited the fell, because those cairns obviously aren't the top of the fell. There we go, so we've reached the trig point of Nine Standards Rigg, and it's funny actually, that's what it's marked as on the trig point, so it's obviously what it's better known as. But oh, I do wish I could see something up here, because I imagine the views would be absolutely extraordinary. Sadly, today isn't the day for them. And what we're going to do is head back down now. It's absolutely freezing. But I hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope you've enjoyed learning something about Nine Standards Rigg, and potentially the story of how they came about. If they were built by the Romans originally to watch over the Eden Valley to make sure the Scots didn't invade, then what an incredible tale. And if not, still an incredible feat to build 9 massive cairns all in a line looking out over the Eden Valley, whoever did it. If you enjoyed the video, please do like and subscribe. I'm really enjoying making these videos at the moment, and it's just a lot of fun during lockdown. I live in the Northern Pennines, and I'm just trying to get out as much as possible and explore, and it's brilliant to share that with you. I'll see you soon.